Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, Harry.
This is a very special occasion today because I have the pleasure to introduce my good friend Michael Shrimpton, barrister, specializing in national security and constitutional law, strategic intelligence, and counter-terrorism. If that's not enough, he seems able to gain access to intelligence agencies worldwide, from Washington's Pentagon, where I've been myself, to, as a trained pilot, he's well informed on international air intelligence programs. He's also well informed on world affairs, appears regularly on talk shows worldwide. Now, I propose to allow Michael only half to 3/4 of an hour in order for questions to follow. I would ask you each to take it in turn when you ask questions so that everybody gets a turn, and also please to refrain from making long speeches. The subject today is an invigorating one for us all. It is Countdown to War. And here's Michael.
Thank you, Harry. I'm always a pleasure to be here at Marlborough, and I must thank Colonel Beckhough for the very gracious introduction. I gather we are going out on the internet at some point, and I should explain for those who are viewing this who aren't here today that I am in mufti because this is a very informal occasion. We're all friends here, and it's a Sunday afternoon, so I've ditched the Savile Row suit for today, and it's gracious of you to allow me to appear without a tie and suit. Colonel Beckhough, of course, special privilege. This is one of a number of very successful gatherings here at Marlborough, and I think we probably know, everybody in the audience, that the informality of these occasions is one of the great strengths of the Marlborough Group, and it does allow the exchange of intelligence in an informal and friendly setting, following a good lunch provided, as always, by the Bear. Now, I'm going to I'm not going to make a long speech, as they've been ruled out. I will abide strictly by the chairman's instructions and speak for about 40 minutes. And I thought I would divide it up into a historical analysis, an explanation of why we are where we are today, say something about the EU, which none of us here likes, and then go on to explain why I think it probable that we will move towards a third Anglo-German war, and say a little bit about current strategic thinking in Washington, in Moscow, in Germany, and elsewhere. Now, the critical thing to understanding post-war world is that at the end of World War II, we failed to shut down German intelligence. And if you don't understand that fact, now this is an experienced and well-informed audience. We have, for the benefit of those who are not used to the Marlborough Group on the internet, and I'm speaking, ladies and gentlemen, not just to this small informal gathering, but of course to the many thousands of people I expect who will be seeing this, judging from past experience. Excessive modesty, of course, is one of my problems, which I've been working on for some years, as you know, Harry. But one is told that one has acquired a certain amount of audience on the internet, and so it's likely many thousands of people will be tuning into what we say over the next weeks and months. Unlike some of the Marlborough Groups, we are to some extent on the record because we're being filmed, so I can't be as free as I might in a Chatham House situation.
Can I interject there? Is it possible, when you're the chairman, to say cuts which stops you sailors called Germans?
I will leave. I'm in the hands of the chairman. Have a very capable chairman, and I'm more than happy to have a Chatham House session at the end. But at the moment, where the plan is a speech followed by questions, very much on the record because it's on film. So I think I will leave that to the chairman at the end, and if that is the wish of the meeting, I'll be more than happy to go into a Chatham House section. There are things one can say under the Chatham House rule that you can't say on the record. Now, although everybody here knows how the Marlborough Group works and knows its contacts, many on the internet viewing it for the first time, particularly those unfamiliar with Marlborough Group's excellent work over the years, will not know of the power and reach of this group. But we have a very well-informed audience, and there are people in this room with the ability to reach right into the heart of the Tory party, of the old political establishment, to the newer political parties like the UK Independence Party, represented here today. No doubt some in the audience will have the ability to reach into the British National Party, whose leader was treated so disgracefully on Thursday night on Question Time. And in addition, there are lines of reporting stretching out from this little meeting to the armed forces, to all three armed forces, to the Defence Intelligence Staff, to GCHQ, to the intelligence services, to the Church of England, to industry. It would be impossible, I think, to add up the sum total of everybody's contacts, because the number would be, it would be a very lengthy task indeed. But I don't want anybody watching on the internet to be under the illusion this is other than a very influential group. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be here, and it's a particular privilege to be sitting beside Colonel Harry Beckhough. Now, many may not know, this group knows of Harry's wonderful intelligence career. Many people watching will not know, but Harry's work on behalf of this country started very many years ago. And I suspect Rommel's defeat in North Africa was more than a little due to Harry's excellent code-breaking work and the sound advice that went from him to General Montgomery, although Harry would be the last person to claim credit. But Harry is one of those who doesn't claim credit, but to whom a great deal of credit is due. Harry and I are a bit like that in many ways. We're both inclined to hide our lights under a bushel. And it's one of the problems. We're not all perfect, and an excessive tendency to hide my lights under a bushel is one of my own problems, and I've been working on it with the encouragement from Harry, who always does very well. You do very well, Harry, to bring me out of my shell. Yes. Now, having been drawn out of my shell, let me go back to the beginning in terms of the post-war world, 1945. Harry was there, others in this audience were. The critical failing in 45, which led to effectively a continuation of the war by other means, was our inability, coupled with an unwillingness, coupled with ignorance over the reorganization of German intelligence, to close German intelligence down. And the first half of my speech is essentially devoted to a theme, which is that although the military hostilities, although major combat operations with Germany ceased on 8th of May 1945, the intelligence war continued, and has continued right down to the present day. And by war, I don't just mean competition in analysis, I don't just mean a tussle of wills, but also a shooting war at times, and a war in which many lives have been lost. Most tragically and most recently that of poor little Madeleine McCann, who was, I think, it's now 10 months since she was murdered,